Good afternoon and welcome to The Rundown. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 6th of August. GOP proposed plan includes surprise bonus for Social Security retirees. And students at school taunted by Pence for reopening must quarantine due to COVID-19. Florida's governor says that the state's unemployment system was set up to pay out the least number of claims and discourage people from seeking benefits. And Deutsche Bank gives Trump's financial records to New York City prosecutors. Attorney General Bill Barr has a tale that reveals exactly what he will do to win Trump the election. Former Justice Department spokesperson speaks out. And Biden confidants see VP choices narrowing down to two candidates, Harris and Rice. And lastly, Los Angeles to shut down water and power to homes hosting large parties or gatherings. Let's get to the news. The HEALS Act hasn't passed yet, but if it does, it could contain an extra surprise for Social Security recipients. The proposed bill could benefit those who receive assistance from Medicare Part B. Under the HEALS Act, seniors would have to pay an extra $3 a month for their Medicare Part B, but only until shortfalls have been recovered. Despite the mild uptick in price, it would be less costly than the premium and deductible increases would have been. More than 60 million in the U.S. are covered by Medicare Part B, most of whom are elderly. For the coverage, seniors pay premiums for coverage as well as their deductibles. Then the insurance kicks in. The standard premium are paid mostly by seniors, and this is an average up to about $144.60 a month as of 2020. Prices for the service has gone up each year since 1966. The HEALS Act would stop premiums or deductibles from increasing until 2021, assuming it passes, which is getting less and less likely. Medicare beneficiaries would avoid substantial increases to both premiums and deductibles, which could be beneficial to recipients amidst the global pandemic. This could be especially valuable to Social Security retirees in 2021. On Wednesday, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows told reporters he was extremely doubtful that any progress would be made before Friday, which is when Congress adjourns for recess. That, of course, would delay any chance at relief for at least several weeks. Meadows had previously said that the two sides were still far away from a deal, though admitted that they had made some progress at Saturday's morning meeting. And here's the portion of the show where I tell my commentary on the stories for this afternoon. I'm sorry, unfortunately, I am not showing my face today, so you just have to hear my voice for the moment. But anyway, moving right along, we're going to talk about this possible proposal for a stimulus check with an extra bonus for seniors. Great. Off the top of my head, I would say, that's good because, of course, we all know seniors are on fixed incomes. So to give them some extra relief as far as paying premiums or co-pays for medicine or Part B medical care is great as far as medication is concerned, because there is a huge problem in this country with drug prices and all that. So that is a good thing. However, on the other hand, there's always kind of a reason for the action. So we all know that seniors mostly vote Republican, and a lot of seniors do vote Republican. And so this is a way to ensure that a lot of Republicans stay neutral to the ticket and vote for Donald Trump in this coming election. I mean, everything kind of has a cost. He's not doing it out of the kindness of his heart, because if he was, he wouldn't have waited this long. As soon as the first stimulus would have went out, a couple of months later, they would have issued another one. So to have this, which hasn't even been approved yet, so to have this lingering in the air, and if they don't approve it fast enough, the Congress will be on another recess, and that will take even longer. So this little extra bonus or gift that they think they're giving the seniors, by the time they actually release it, if it in fact gets released at all, the seniors will be back again, kind of pinching here and pinching there. So what would be the purpose of it? I don't know. But, this is what happens when you don't really pay attention and vote. You get people in positions that really have power to kind of dictate how things can get run. So that has to be a change in that. And the only time it changes is when we exercise our right to vote. Fourth graders at a school in North Carolina had been asked to quarantine for 14 days after a student there tested positive for the COVID-19. The school, a Thaddeus Academy in Wake Forest, said that it was notified on Monday that the student became infected after encounter with an infected family member. The student, who was asymptomatic and was last at school on Friday. Teachers who were exposed also will be quarantined. The Academy is a network of private, non-sectarian community schools with 8 locations in North Carolina, which made the news last week after Vice President Mike Pence and Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos visited a classroom and applauded the school for reopening. Mike Pence also said that the administration was going to make sure schools had the resources to reopen safely. Thaddeus Academy welcomed students back on July 20th. It offered parents 2 options, fully online or fully in person, according to the ABC Durham affiliate. Students had their temperatures taken and complete a medical questionnaire after they were dropped off, according to the affiliate. Staff and faculty also reminded students to wear masks. Because of the school's network is private, it doesn't have to adhere to North Carolina's Governor Roy Cooper's school reopening guidelines. Cooper announced in July that schools could reopen with both in-person and remote learning. He said that schools that choose to reopen should operate in person at no more than 50% capacity and buses at no more than 33% capacity. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention has swayed on the national guidelines for reopening schools. Originally, the federal agency warned of the risk that comes with reopening schools and issued recommendations. But on Thursday, just 2 weeks after President Donald Trump demanded schools reopen, the CDC shifted its tone and received statements about children not being at a high risk of getting seriously ill, although its original guidelines are still up on its website. Okay, so here we go with this story. So, schools across the country are starting to reopen. A lot of schools in red states are reopening, or southern states are reopening anyway, because they start their fall school session earlier than a lot of other areas. However, in North Carolina, these group of schools, they're private schools, have opened. They gave the parents two options: one, to do remote learning, which is learning from home, or in-person learning. And during the in-person learning, the children will get their temperature taken and they will answer a medical questionnaire. However, since school opened on Friday, one of the students tested positive for COVID-19, which of course endangers the students as well as faculty. So the students now have to be quarantined. Anybody he came in contact with has to be quarantined for 14 days. And so does the faculty have to be quarantined for 14 days. This, to me, already is a disaster, because that means that every time a student has tested positive for the COVID-19 coronavirus, that puts a whole hold on the learning process for the other students, because then now they have to be quarantined for 14 days. Faculty has to be quarantined for 14 days. Anybody, again, that came in contact with any student has to be quarantined for 14 days. Now, they say that the student who tested positive received it from a family member. But, I mean, do we really know that to be true? If he went to school on Friday and you followed protocol, and or if Friday was the first day of school, I am not aware of that. But if Friday wasn't the first day of school and Thursday was, and Thursday he went to school or she went to school and there was no coronavirus, and within one day he came back to school and tested positive, it may be a bigger issue here. So I'm thinking they didn't test them students. They just happened to test the students and find out, oh, well, that person tested positive, and took it from there. But I think that this whole thing is about to be a huge mess, again, for pushing children into school. And then for Betsy DeVos and the task force to say that children are less likely to get gravely ill from coronavirus. The fact that you allow them to get ill, but as long as it's not life-threatening, it's okay, is ridiculous to me. Should never kind of put children in that position. I think that's horrible. But anyway, it's just my thought. Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis said that the state's unemployment system was designed to pay the least amount of claims and frustrate jobless people seeking benefits. A spokesperson for Senator Rick Scott rejected DeSantis' claim in a statement to the Business Insider, which read, "As we've said many times, this is obviously false. Real leaders work to solve problems and get the job done. That's what Senator Scott is focused on." The comments from the Florida governor reflect a reality for many unemployed systems across the country. After the Great Depression, many states moved to tighten access to benefits and reduce the amount of money paid out. The New York Times reported back in 2019 that only 11% of unemployed people in Florida were collecting benefits, federal data shows. The unemployment system in Florida, like almost every other in the U.S., confronted an avalanche of jobless claims at the onset of the pandemic. States scrambled to add a $600 federal supplement and also expand eligibility to gig workers and independent contractors who usually didn't qualify for benefits. The state's website for jobless claims repeatedly crashed early on. In April, images of hundreds of people lining up to file paper forms in southern Florida gathered nationwide attention. DeSantis sought to deflect blame for the meltdown to the CBS Miami interview, saying that in 2019, the state audit of the unemployment system never reached his desk. That report from auditors warned DeSantis that unemployment's website contained serious glitches and errors, hitting in it. Around 2.2 million Floridians are now collecting unemployment benefits, according to the State of Department of Economic Opportunity. All right, so let's get into this, and I'm not going to give this governor too much of my energy because I think he is just as ill-prepared, ill-informed as Trump himself. Okay, so long story short, of course, Ron DeSantis is a loyal Trump supporter, and he basically comes out of his mouth and says that the unemployment in Florida is basically structured in a way in which they give out less claims. They make it harder to discourage people from actually even filing for unemployment, and they do that purposely. However, during this pandemic, so many people have been out of work, and you really have no choice. But the fact of the matter still lies that they really don't have the capacity to handle the overwhelming flow of people putting in claims. So much so that the database in the system, they were told when they did an audit for the Labor Department of Florida that they had to revamp the system because it ran too slow and it kept crashing. Now, they was told this way before the pandemic even happened. Ron DeSantis said he never got that audit on his desk, which, of course, I believe it was a lie. If he blatantly said that they make it harder or they make it difficult for people to file unemployment so they can rather just, get frustrated and not do it, of course, you would leave it to where in which the system is always crashing, and because that would discourage people. So, you basically was telling on yourself. So I really don't understand. Don't act dumb now like you didn't know. Like, I didn't know. I had no idea. He knew. He had every bit, and he had no intentions of correcting the unemployment database or system so people can get the resources they need, for the simple fact that the president chose to ignore the warning signs of the virus in the first place, which caused people to be in this situation to begin with. Hello. But anyway, I just think that that's a hot mess. But leave it up to the people of Florida and Ron DeSantis to really show you how great of a state Florida is. New York City prosecutors investigating Donald Trump's finances previously issued a subpoena to Deutsche Bank, one of the foremost lenders to the president's business, as part of their inquiry, and the bank complied, according to the New York Times. The Office of the Manhattan District Attorney is seeking 8 years of the president's personal and corporate tax records, but the disclosed little about what prompted the prosecutors and its team to request the records beyond payoffs to women to silence them about alleged affairs with Donald Trump in the past. Lawyers for Vance told a judge in New York on Monday that he was justified in demanding the records from Trump, citing public reports of extensive and protracted criminal conduct at the Trump Organization. A report emerged Wednesday that Vance's office subpoenaed the German lender last year in what the New York Times said was a sign that there was criminal investigation into Trump's business practices is more wide range than previously known. The report noted that this appearance to be the first instance of a criminal inquiry, including and involving Trump and his dealings with Deutsche Bank, the German bank, which had been a long-standing source of financing to the Trump real estate empire. Right, so here we go with this article here. This Deutsche Bank story is really heating up. Deutsche Bank, who has been a big contributor to the Trump Organization, giving them a lot of loans, and people are trying to understand why, when they have so much debt, why were they getting all these loans? Now, in the very beginning, Deutsche Bank was able to, and Trump's lawyers was able to kind of hold up a wall against receiving these documents. However, the federal judge says, and the Supreme Court said, no, that the president has to and must answer the subpoenas and hand over the documents, that his presidency does not shield him, nor does the second of the Article 2 shield him from a subpoena. He has to comply to the subpoena. So the subpoena was for him to turn over his financial documents. So as of right now, the New York City prosecutors have his documentation. And when we thought that it was just going after the hush money payments from to Stormy Daniels and the other woman that he had an affair with, no, they're going a lot deeper. They're going into his finances as far as his loans and insurance. So they are really digging deep into him, and this is the first time that they're able to actually find or possibly find some criminality in the Trump Organization and their business. Now, how the president and Bill Barr and the rest of them are going to counteract this, that'll be interesting to see what they do to counteract this move. But this is a big move, very big move. And I was surprised to know that Deutsche Bank, being a German bank, now remember when Trump first, kind of got in office and the German prime minister was, coming to visit the United States, or he would go to the G8 summit, and how disrespectful he was to her. I would not be surprised if she had something to do with having Deutsche Bank release those funds. I'm just saying, because it's mighty funny that they've been holding on to this stuff for so long and able to put up this wall where he could not get his finance touched, and all of a sudden now his finances will be in the hands of prosecutors, and we'll see how long this lasts. Former Justice Department lawyer Matt Miller said that Attorney General Bill Barr has a tale that Miller thinks reveals what Barr will do about the new attempt at a GOP-run Russia investigation. The MSNBC panel discussion looked back at Barr's testimony to the House Judiciary Committee, where he admitted that the White House government appointees have discussions about a 2020 campaign during cabinet meetings. Conducting politics, however, under the government is strictly prohibited. Miller said that Barr's refusal to rule out releasing the new GOP's led Russia probe at least last minute before the election as a way to somehow tie Mueller's probe to Joe Biden. Trump has tweeted as much, claiming that he was personally wiretapped at Trump Towers and that his campaign was being monitored as ordered by the Obama administration. Nothing in Mueller's year-long investigation found any such thing. However, Barr previously twisted Mueller's findings into his own summary that absolved the president from any wrongdoing. Mueller expects that Barr will do the same thing in this case, but right before the election. That's the reason Mueller explains Barr's refusal to answer any questions about his intent on releasing the GOP-led investigation, which has already been completed. All right, in this particular story with Attorney General Bill Barr, of course, they're going to follow the same playbook that worked for them in 2016 with Hillary stoking doubt into the American people and making the candidate seem untrustworthy. They're going to do this, of course, with Biden, with his son, of course, Hunter Biden, and the connection with the Ukrainian president and the prosecutor that Trump claims, and a lot of his people that back him, that Biden and the Obama administration had something to do with getting that prosecutor, who was known to be corrupt in Ukraine, fired from his job. So that, along with China, I'm sure they're going to start saying that China is rigging the election. They're blaming the coronavirus pandemic on China as well. So more of that will be spewing out. But of course, Barr, in straight Barr fashion, did not say what he was going to exactly do to help President Donald Trump get elected. The same thing when he said that he was not going to involve himself in the Russian investigation, and he turned around and did it anyway. So hold on to your hats, because it's about to get bumpy as we come down to this narrow stretch before the 2020 election in November. Confidants of Joe Biden believe his choices for vice president have narrowed to Senator Kamala Harris and Susan Rice. The campaign is now entered into a methodal mode, and it's finalizing vetting. It's at an internal polling result on potential picks and talks to finalists one-on-one. In third place is Representative Karen Bass of California, who had a flattering performance on Sunday shows after revealing revelations about her past views on Cuba and Scientology. In the case of Harris, there have been many deep and trusting relationships with many of the Obama and Clinton veterans who are advocating for Harris. Rice is getting a big bounce from Obama's people, who claim her presence on the ticket would guarantee enthusiastic presence of both Barack and Michelle Obama on the campaign trail. Her team acknowledges Republicans will taunt out her early misstatements about Benghazi attacks that were based on incomplete intelligence that she had been given. All right, in this particular story, if it is correct that Senator Kamala Harris and Susan Rice are his last two picks, with the third person uh, being a Karen Bass. Um, I should be getting paid for this because I called it. So, if in fact Senator Kamala Harris is one and Susan Rice is number two, I called it. Exactly who he's gonna pick, I don't know, because either one, I mean, he can pick, um, because he has a relationship with both women. He also has a relationship with Miss Bass, but not as strong as Susan Rice, who was a part of the Obama administration, and um, Kamala Harris. So that should be interesting to see who he picks, who his campaign really wants. That should be interesting too. And if his campaign was a part of the smear campaign that was put upon Kamala Harris because she was a stronger candidate, that would be interesting to know that too. So we'll see. We'll see who he picks. He's supposed to be picking within the coming days. I think by Friday he should be picking, or Monday. It should be known who he's gonna pick, but we shall see. We shall see. But again, if it is the two, and he does pick one of the two, remember I called it. So yeah, I should be a psychic or something. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti said on Wednesday that he is authorizing the city to shut off utility services to properties where large parties and gatherings are held. CBS Los Angeles reports Garcetti said that starting Friday, the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power will cut off water and power services in cases where people were unpermitted having large parties and gatherings taking place. The announcement comes just hours as the city councilman introduced a motion to increase penalties for property owners who hold large house parties in violation of the public health orders. It's not clear whether Garcetti's announcement was related to that motion. Alright, so here's my views on this particular article about the Los Angeles Mayor, Eric Garcetti, actually putting out stiffer laws for people who are having large gatherings during this pandemic. So he has suggested, and they're actually going to push it forward, that they're going to cut off all power source and water to anybody having large gatherings in the city of Los Angeles. If this comes amidst the football players that wind up having a large gathering, and I think some people were shocked. I believe that that's the reason for this. But homeowners beware. If you have large gatherings, they will be shutting off your power and your water. I guess to make people stop having these large gatherings in the midst of a pandemic. Interesting. But we'll see what kind of traction this gets, and this may go statewide. So look out for other states to possibly pick up this kind of shutdown to ensure that people stop gathering. Once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.